Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys my first preliminary winter 2021 to 2022 forecast. I know you guys probably been waiting for a long time for this, but I finally had the time to make a forecast and do a lot of research. Now, when it comes to winter forecasts, it could be pretty difficult. Plus, there's a lot of factors when it comes into these forecasts. So I'm gonna try to show you guys most of those factors here. We'll also check out my forecast as well later in the video. But we're going to get started with the Climate Predictor Outlook here, or at least the ENSO here. And this is going to be one of those factors here with the ENSO. This is a PowerPoint they update every Monday here. So the last time it was updated was back in the 20th of December. And right now we're currently in a La Nina watch at this time here. I'll show you guys the current sea surface temperatures in a little bit on tropical tidbits, but this is actually what it looks like right now in the certain parts of the ENSO region. So in Nino 4, it's currently zero point 0.4 degrees Celsius below normal. Now, currently, it looks like we're in a neutral phase right now. All of these probably have to average out to at least 0.5 degrees below normal. And right now, the only spot that's warmer than normal is Denia 1 plus 2, which is just off the coast of South America. And however, the rest of it right now, it's pretty much a La Nina at this point here. At least Neo 3 is, but Neo 4 and 3.4 is still in the neutral phase as of right now. So right now, we're still in the neutral phase. However, things are starting to cool down as some of those trade winds kind of go over those sea surface temperatures. Now let's kind of go below. Let's go a little bit underwater here. So now this is subsurface sea surface temperatures here. Um, you do see here, now this was back in September 15th. It's pretty chilly down there. We got below normal subsurface temperature anomalies. And these are usually coming up to the surface here. So it may not be too much longer before we start to notice those temperatures start to drop here, especially in Nino 4 and probably 3.4 as well. We had that with Nino 1 plus 2. It's actually a little bit warmer in the subsurface. So really, in reality here, we are starting to transition over towards a La Nina at this point here. And it's below average down there. And you can see here, over the last couple of months here, you can see here back in July 27th, it's there. And it's just been, again, expanding. It's kind of been expanding, and it's also getting a little bit stronger in the subsurface here. You go from July 27th to September 10th. You have noticed here that it's been kind of expanding in size, and it's getting a little bit stronger as time goes by. Like I was talking about those winds here, you do see here when we have stronger winds over the ENSO, it keeps the waters cool. You can see here we got winds, looks to be 10 to 15 knots out there, which is keeping those temperatures on the cooler side of things. And as we kind of go down, further down the thing here. Now, let's talk about what analogs we kind of have here. And you can see here, last winter was an analog. We were in a La Nina last winter. You can see it was a degree below normal back in 2021. Before that, 2018. Before that, 2012, 2011, and then you got 2009. So those are at least some of the most recent ones here. So, or in other words, 2008 to 2009, 2010 to 2011, 2011 to 2012, 2017 to 2018, and then 2020 to 2021. Now, all of these have a common here, probably except for one winter, which I believe 2011 and 2012 was a little bit of a warmer winter, but at least the rest of them were actually a cold and snowy winter across parts of the central and eastern United States. And here's this Climate Prediction Center probabilities outlook here for the ENSO. Here's winter right here. DJF means December, January, February, and currently the probabilities are just about 70% chance here. So there's a decent probability that a La Nina is going to happen here Neutral phase isn't way too far behind. There is a 20 to 30% chance that may turn out as a neutral phase as well. But it seems like La Nina seems pretty likely at this point here. And what's interesting here about this upcoming winter, this is going to be a back-to-back La Nina year. And there's not been many years that we had a back-to-back La Nina. I mean, really the most recent one was 2010 to 2011, and then 2011 to 2012. And if we kind of go back further behind that, you had 1995, 1956 here, and then there was actually a time we actually had three in a row, 74, 75, and 76. Here's another one of 84 and 85. Here's another triple, 99 to 2000 and 2001. And then you had 2008 to 2009. And most of these here, at least in common here, were actually a colder and snowy winter. So that's pretty interesting there. And logs is kind of a big thing when it kind of comes to forecasts. But that's just only at least one of the very few factors out there. And let's check out some of the model guidance here. And you do see here, here's the neutral line right here. So this is kind of like your borderline, neutral Enzo, and then La Nina. Going below that line, that's a weak La Nina, and then going above that line, that's a neutral phase. And what's interesting with the models here, we actually got some of the models kind of keeping it in a neutral phase here, which is very interesting. And then you got some kind of around a weak La Nina, which is also very interesting as well. So there's some disagreements here, but if we're going to talk about weak La Nina, it may look towards a little bit more of a neutral phase winter here. But then again, there's other factors out there, which we'll take a look at some of those other factors in a moment. But then here's the CFSV2. Now, this was a little bit of an overkill last winter, and it looks like it may be an overkill again this winter. Remember, last winter, it was around a degree below normal. Well, the CFSV2 wants to go below that line. That would be considered as a strong La Nina. But we'll see how things go with the CFSV2. But honestly, in my opinion, maybe a little bit no overkill. But that's kind of like one model showing um, that strong of a La Nina. Meanwhile, the majority keeps us a weaker La Nina and actually around neutral phase. We only have, looks to be one model that takes it down that far. So it seems like a strong La Nina seems unlikely for its upcoming winter. But what does a pattern look like for a typical La Nina? Well, it looks like something like this. Typically across the northwest, it's usually colder and wetter. And that weather area does expand down to across parts of northern California. It's dry and warm across most of the south. It's wet across parts of the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley. It's colder across parts of the northern plains. Now keep in mind, every winter is different. Keep in mind that because not only the Enzo's not again not the only factor here. We got teleconnections is another big one as well, which we'll take a look at that. And but here's the current sea surface temperatures here, and there's a few noticeable things. Again, here's the Enzo right here, and currently we are below average with sea surface temperatures there, at least slightly below normal, but still more in the way of a neutral phase right now. There's another thing that's pretty noticeable. We got an area warmer than average sea surface temperatures up there as well. Typically, you kind of want it to be a little bit further north here. That's what will indicate as a positive PNA. That's one of the tail connections. And what that could do, that can add a ridge up here and move down across these regions up here as well. So it kind of keeps the west warmer and drier side of things here. But it's also kind of warming up the atmosphere a little bit as well. So that's kind of going to act like a ridge there. But sometimes, but we'll see if that moves a little bit further up north. If it moves a little further north, that does increase the probabilities that the west may turn a little bit warmer and drier look. However, subtropical jet may try to come down to the south. So we'll see how things go just off the west coast there. We're still 2 months away here. So a lot of things could change here out here. Another thing that's noticeable is that we have very warm sea surface temperatures across parts of the northeast as well, at least off the northeast coast there. That's also warming the atmosphere there, and that's going to add a ridge. Now, something I found very interesting that Weather Bell, if you guys do not know Weather Bell, they're a couple of meteorologists, and they had an analysis video, which I'll put in the link description down below if you guys want to watch their video. And they have this theory here, and what their theory here is if you have multiple hurricanes, a lot of hurricanes that make landfall in the United States, and also have a colder May, that can indicate as a colder and snowier winter. Now, this year was the same way. We had a lot of hurricanes that made landfall in the United States, and we had a colder May. If you look to last winter or before last winter, May of 2020, it was a colder May, and we also had you know, a lot of hurricanes that made landfall in the United States. And guess what happened? We actually had a colder and snowier fall. And before that, it was I believe it was a warmer May. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. It was a warmer May, and we didn't have a whole lot of hurricanes that made landfall. And then on the winter, it was mostly a very warm winter. So that's a very interesting theory that they have here. And the one reasons why that we have so many landfalls is because this area here of warmer sea surface temperatures here, and sometimes when it kind of goes into the winter months, this can move a little further north. It can act as a block, or you could say a Greenland block, or you could say a negative NAO, which is one of the teleconnections, and that can make troughs move into parts of the eastern United States as well. We'll see if that theory works into this winter here, but so far, if his theory is correct, we could be looking at a colder and snowier winter across the decent chunk of the United States. Another factor is Noel mentioned here on Twitter. I'll put in the thread in the link in the description down below. Is a what forecast models are showing something very interesting up across the Arctic Circle, and that's the potential for a sudden stratospheric warming event. And what that does is, with a sudden stratospheric warming event, that adds as a big block across the Arctic Circle here. So that means not all your cold air is going to stick around the Arctic Circle. Some of it's going to get spilled down towards other parts of the world here, and like across parts of Asia and Europe, and including the United States. What happens here is when you have a sudden stratospheric warming, then again, some of its parts of the polar vortex kind of spills down a little bit further south, and it does affect to some of these other areas as well here. And that could give an indication that we could see again at least a colder winter. Now this is for December here from the European model, and it shows something very similar to that as well. It shows a blocking across Greenland as well. So your cold air is not really going to go up there. So where it's going to go? It's going to go a little further south here. And he's put into some analogs here of what happened back in the past here. So if we check out here, so this is December right here, and he had analogs of 2018, 2003, 2001, 2000, 1998, 97, 87, 68, and 60. What we had here for the month of December? We had a sudden stratospheric warming event again. And this is looking to very similar forecasts here. You do see here we have an area below normal 500 millibar hot anomalies, which can indicate a colder and snowier look for the eastern United States. But you also notice further out to the west here, it's actually a little bit more neutral. And across the northern plains, it has a slightly warmer look here. So that's a very interesting look there for the upcoming winter here. And if we go into January here, things turn pretty cold across the northwest, actually generally most of the west, And then across the east, we kind of get a break here. Now, he hasn't added February in here, but I guarantee you it's probably going to look similar to February, February, or I meant December, because Mother Nature likes to even things out here. And whenever Mother Nature likes to try to even things out here, usually it's going to look the opposite than it was in a current month. Like for example here, you know, back in last winter here in December, it was cold and snowy across parts of the east. But then January, things turned much quieter. And then as you move into February, it turns colder and snowier. I think it's going to look similar to what last winter was. Now, I don't think it won't be as extreme for Texas and Oklahoma. If you guys remember, across those areas got hit very hard last year, especially during February with those record cold temperatures, and they got a lot of snow out of that time period there as well. Now, so this is for November here, and this could also indicate possibly an early winter as well, but we'll have to see how October goes here. September has kind of been a little bit of a flip-flop type of pattern here. Here in September, we have warmer periods, we also have colder periods. But generally, it kind of feels like it's been a little bit colder side of things, so it may turn a little bit warmer for October, and maybe things turn colder for November. But we'll see how October kind of goes. If October turns out to be pretty warm, there's probably a good decent chance that November may turn a little bit on the colder side. Or if October turns colder, November may be warmer. So we'll see how things go. But you do see here, even into November here, models do indicate at least the beginnings of this sudden stratospheric warming event here, which here's what it kind of looks like right here with those 500 millibar height anomalies. You do see here, you get a big time blocking across most of the Arctic Circle here. There's blocking across Greenland as well, so that can indicate a negative NAO and also a negative AO. And you do get these big troughs that move in the lower latitudes here across parts of the United States, Asia, and Europe as well. So definitely going to be very interesting here. Now, it doesn't guarantee that we're going to have a cold and snowy winter. There will be times where some of these here may miss the United States. That's someone that had a pretty good mention here that sometimes some of these here can miss the United States. However, this does indicate that the chances do increase that we may see a colder and snowy winter across a good chunk of the United States. It at least increases the chances, but it's not a complete guarantee just yet because we're still 2 months away. Even though the weather models had this strong signal for a couple months now, some things can change here between now and then December. So it's still something to watch for right now. And I don't think there's anything else in here. Doesn't look like it. But then again, I'll put the link in the description down below for Ben Noel's thread here if you guys want to read the entire thing here. Let's look at some weather models here, and we're going to start off with December here for the CFS model. And then again, things can change here. Now, the CFS updates a couple days, at least a couple times a day, I should say. And, things can change here. And if the CFS model is correct, this is a really good setup here for the winter. Now, this is your MSOP anomalies. Now, higher the numbers here, the chances are there's going to be a ridge of high pressure there. But this point here, this kind of indicates that there might be an Arctic high in here. If you look off to the northeast, low pressure systems may be a little bit more common. So this could indicate they could link to some cold and snowy conditions across parts of the northeastern United States as well. And maybe even a little further to the southwest as well, because some of those below average MSOP anomalies do get a little bit further south. I know that's a very light shade of blue, but that's kind of a rough outline there. And that could indicate where some low pressure systems may kind of go through. You may have a low pressure system may track up something like this, and that can lead to some cold and snowy conditions across parts of the Ohio Valley and Northeast, especially with this Arctic high here. That's going to lead to some northwest wind here. That could act as that'd be a pretty good setup there for lake effect snow here, and even in this situation here, that'll make things turn out to be pretty warm across the west as well. And then as you move to January, we warm up. Again, Mother Nature likes to try to even things out. And you do see here, we get a ridge that builds up across parts of the southeast, and a big ridge that forms out across the west as well. And you do get warmer, dry conditions across parts of the west, even across the southeast as well. And meanwhile, across the north, it's probably a little bit closer to average, and you guys may see chances of snow up there in January. Pretty similar to last winter, right? Well, here we go to February. We go back to a little bit of a colder and snowier look. We get a ridge of high pressure just off the west coast that makes things a little bit warmer across parts of the west. And you also notice here, you got a large area below average MSOP anomalies here. And that can indicate that low pressure systems may be pretty common this far south. This could also indicate there might be chances for some snow for Texas and Oklahoma again. Yeah, looking pretty similar to last winter, but then again, I don't think it's going to be as extreme here. Now, if this verifies here, we may get to see possibly a winter storm down in Texas again 2 years in a row. That'd be crazy if that would be correct. But that'd be definitely something to watch here as well. So we may have to watch the several plains, parts central plains again here for chances of snow as well. And there may be a chance for a winter storm as well. And with these low pressure systems, it could bring in some cold air from the north. That could bring in some snow chances across parts of the south. And then that may continue to move up to the northeast here, and even areas later down the road may have the chances to see some snow as well. You also do have a southeast ridge out here, so that's going to bring in some moisture up here as well. So that can definitely fill up for the possibility for maybe a chance for ice storms as well crossing these regions as well. So this is definitely something to watch here. But then again, things will likely change. The CFS updates a couple times a day, and then again, this is one model. Let's check out the Kansas model here, and we'll go back to December and show something pretty interesting here. Things like low pressure systems may be very common across the Rockies. That actually would be a really good thing if this were to verify here. That can lead to colder conditions and also weather conditions as well. They really do need some rain across the west as well. You also do notice here there is that possibility where we may have some slightly above normal MSOP anomalies there. So that may indicate that ridging may be possible, kind of going along the east coast there. So you may have low pressure systems that may come in, something like this, and they kind of come up something like this here, and that could lead to possibly some severe weather setups as well. If I were to verify as well, then again, some things could change. And then you look at January, we warm up, just very similar to what the CFS showed. Said we have a colder, snowy alert for December, and then we warm up in January. We got ridge off the west coast there, so that could mean some warmer temperatures across the west. We also got a southeast ridge that builds up, so that can indicate a warmer and drier look for the southeast as well. And then you look to February here, a little bit different to what the CFS ball showed. It still shows a southeast ridge out there, but also shows at least a pretty good setup here for cold and snowy conditions here because you get moisture from the Gulf of Mexico here. With that moisture available for those low pressure systems, that can lead to some bigger snowstorms for some of these low pressure systems. So that's definitely something we need to watch for as well. But definitely very interesting outlooks here from the CFS and the Kansas model. But then again, these are not the most accurate weather models out there, but unfortunately, that's all I kind of have here. But after looking into some of the European models and UK Met models from other people, it looks like a cold and snowy winter could be coming here for a good chunk of the United States. So, something very interesting to watch there. Let's check out other people's forecasts. So let's check out the Con Prediction Center's forecast, and you do see here they do show a pretty warm look here, warm across the south and east. I think they're a little bit overkill with the warmth here, and ain't really a terrible forecast. But then again, we're 2 months out, some things could change here. They got 2 more times here to update this forecast here. They update this about once a month here, but does show the chance here for below average temperatures across the northwest. And if you look into their precipitation forecast, excuse me there, you do see here the northwest looking to have a wetter look and looks to be dry across parts of the desert southwest and even across the southeast as well, look to be a little bit drier. And also things look to be a little bit wetter across parts of the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and the interior northeast as well, and even for parts of the Midwest as well. Let's check out the Farmer's Almanac. Now, the accuracy of the almanacs here, it's about 50-50 here. But here's the Farmer's Almanac. Not a bad forecast in my opinion here. Also, I may agree this a little bit better than the current prediction center's forecast here. For the Northwest, typical winter temperatures and precipitation seems very reasonable. Southwest, average wintry temperatures and precipitation. I feel like that may turn out to be a little bit drier look, but we'll see about that. Um, Across the central and over plains, numb's the word, just shoveling along. If you guys do not know what that means, that can indicate very cold temperatures and some pretty snowy conditions. Across the southern plains, chill to the bone, near normal precipitation. So that could be there could be some pretty cold shots down there. And then when you look to the southeast, quite chilly, mixed bag precipitation. So that could be me in a mix of rain, snow, and maybe some sleet and freezing rain as well. Probably not get as far south as Florida. That probably turned it to be more of a rainy look. But for everywhere else, they may have the possibility to see some of the other types of precipitation. Now for the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley, icy and flaky. So that could mean the possibility for not only for snow, but it could be some ice in there as well. So freezing rain and also for the possibility of sleet as well. So that's probably what it means for icy and flaky. And then for the Northeast, typical winter chill, stormy January, tranquil February there as well. So overall, the Farmers Almanac, I can agree with this forecast here. And then when you look to the old Farmers Almanac forecast, and honestly, this is a very interesting forecast. They got the west and the desert southwest mild to dry. That does make some sense. Cold and dry across parts of the Rockies. Excuse me there. Um, Mild and snowy across parts of Montana, the Dakotas, Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, and northwestern Kansas. Okay. Um, the Midwest, cold and dry, makes some sense. This is where things get very interesting. Upper Michigan, cold and wet. Yeah, that's very interesting, right? Even for upper parts of Maine, also cold and wet. Again, that's very interesting. But then you got mild and wet across parts of the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle area. Parts of Texas and Oklahoma, cold and dry. Cold and snowy across parts of southwestern Texas and southeastern New Mexico. Cold and wet across the deep south, that makes some sense at least. Cold and dry across parts of southern Florida. Cold and dry across parts of the Northeast and the Carolinas and Mid Atlantic. And then looks to be the bullseye indicated by the old Farmer's Almanac. Looks to be parts of Kansas, Missouri, northern Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, southern Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, most of West Virginia, parts of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, uh, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and parts of Massachusetts. Very interesting forecast they got right there. And honestly, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but everywhere else at least has some sense to it. So, then again, very interesting forecast they got here. But time to check out my winter forecast here. Now, I'm going to be pretty conservative on the first forecast because a lot of things could change between now and late November. Late November, early December is when I think about issuing my last forecast. But then again, the reason why, because, again, a lot of things can change for now till then. I can't make a final forecast 2 months out. That's definitely not going to happen there because, again, a lot of things can change from now till then. But I'm going to be pretty conservative on this forecast here, but you guys kind of get the general idea here at least. So, for temperatures, slightly below average across parts of the plains, upper Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and the interior Northeast. That's part of, again with that negative NAO kind of come into place here. That's going to bring us some a better opportunity to bring in some colder than average temperatures across some of these areas in here. Plus, with that stratospheric warming, you could get some big dips in the jet stream here that could bring in some colder temperatures as well. Then we got an area slightly above normal across parts of the southeast. That's where we had the potential for a slight risk, a southeast ridge, I should say, that may try to kick in as well. We have a couple models that do indicate southeast ridge. Some others don't really show that. So there's some uncertainties here, but I do feel like there's going to be a southeast ridge again with a typical La Nina. There will be a, well, let me say that again. Typically with a La Nina, you do see a southeast ridge there, at least most of the time. But then again, every winter is different. But I definitely see that potential that parts of southeast may see slightly above normal temperatures there. And then we also have another area slightly above average temperatures, and that's really across most of the west coast there, down to across parts of the desert southwest. We do have some uncertainties with that PNA. Um, if the PNA, we have some also do indicate a positive PNA. If that's the case, they'll make the west on the warmer side of things. If it's a negative PNA, it may turn a little bit colder. But we'll kind of see how things go here. I'm kind of leaning towards slightly above normal for right now. But then again, some things could change here as well. With that negative NAO and negative AO, seems like most of that cold air may be a little bit further to the east. But we'll see what happens here over the next couple months here. Then again, areas are not highlighted. Basically, your average temperatures here. But then again, that may change in a couple weeks, depending on how things go. Precipitation. I wasn't kidding about conservative here. I got most of the United States across average region. Then again, across the west here, I have a majority area in the average zone because of the uncertainty of that PNA again across the west here. However, I do have better confidence across parts of Southern California, Arizona, and far southwestern New Mexico, at least being slightly below average. That's where I at least had the better confidence where the drier weather will be. And then as you move further to the east here, I have better confidence of slightly above normal precipitation across really anywhere from eastern Oklahoma, northeast of Texas, all the way up to across parts of the Ohio Valley region as well. That's currently where I have the better confidence of where we'll see some of that above average precipitation, at least slightly above average. Meanwhile, everywhere else, looking to be closer to average. Snowfall. Probably first time I ever, never even put below average on this map here for snowfall. However, then again, that may change. But anyways, we do have an area slightly above average snowfall. Then again here where some of these Arctic highs may come into place here across parts of the plains. That brings in a northwest flow here that can activate those Great Lakes there. And they can produce lake effect snow up there. I think that's a pretty good bet here that we're going to see at least a chance of above average lake effect snow across those regions there. Meanwhile, everywhere else here, with that active pattern here, you guys think I'm crazy here, but slightly above average snowfall across parts of Texas and Oklahoma. Keep in mind, guys, the averages down there, especially across parts of central Texas for snowfall, is pretty low. So if you think about it, one winter storm, they're already above average. So I still do believe that the potential is there that some of those areas could see slightly above average snowfall this year, or this upcoming winter, I should say. But don't get too excited with that. And then again, some things could change there as well. And with that active pattern here, we'll probably have multiple low pressure systems that may continue to go on the northeast. And on the northern side of that, that's where we have that chance for some slightly above average snowfall as well. Especially with a southeast ridge kicking in, you'll have some moisture that will kind of kick in. And you have a better opportunity to see some snow across some of these regions there as well. Meanwhile, everywhere else looking to be closer to average. Now let's look into the overall forecast. We'll go from west to east. So then again, for the parts of the northwest, I think it's going to be a flip-flop pattern here. There may be a period of cold and snowy conditions, But then you guys may turn a little bit milder side of things as well. So I think it's gonna be a football pattern there. Then she moved further to the south. Pretty self-explanatory. I feel like it's gonna be on the mild side of things, but keep in mind, doesn't necessarily mean you guys are not going to see any cold and snow. I do believe there will be periods where you guys can still see some cold and snowy conditions, but I think overall it's going to be a little bit on the milder side of things. Keep in mind of that. And then we got a small area across parts of Southern California, Arizona, and parts of New Mexico in that warm and dry area as well. And then across the Rockies, I think it's going to be a very typical mountain snow. Depending on the P&A, I think things will be closer to average for up north, but there may be that possibility that may turn slightly above normal as you get further to the south here. Again, where a couple balls been hitting on where some low pressure systems could come down there. Might be similar to last winter, but not as extreme. If you guys remember from last winter, we did have some above normal snowfall a little bit further south there. So, should be interesting to watch there, see what happens there. Then we got this large purple area in here. Generally, it's going to be pretty cold, in my opinion here. You will have some Arctic blasts here and there, but then when you look into January, we kind of get a break for that and things kind of try to warm up across the north. But keep in mind, your average temperatures are pretty low. So even though you're forecasting to get slightly above average temperatures during January, your guys still be on the colder side of things. So generally, you guys are going to be pretty cold throughout most of the winter. And then here's an interesting area, the Severn Plains, wild swings. What this means here is you may have a swing. For example, here you may get a low pressure system that might move it to parts of Texas and Oklahoma, maybe out ahead of the cold front, maybe 60s to 70s with temperatures, and then back behind it could be 30s and snowing. Yeah, that's what I mean by wild swings there. And there may be that potential we may see a couple systems like that across the south. We'll have periods of warmer weather and then you have periods of cold and possibly some snow mixed in as well. But the possibility is there. But don't get too excited for that. We're still a little ways out. Across the Great Lakes region, above normal lake effect snow, then again, we'll have some of those Arctic highs in place here with that northwest flow that could definitely activate the lake effect snow machine and you can get lake effect snow across those areas there as well. Pretty self-explanatory. Areas of the dark blue here, cold and snowy conditions. That's from southern Missouri up to Maine here, with some of these Arctic highs there, and you're also nearby an active jet stream here, where lows could travel along with it. On that colder side of things, you guys can see some snowier conditions as well along with that as well. And then as you go further to the south, the winter battle zone. This is where you have a combination. You'll get some rain with some systems, or you could, and there'll be some other ones that will bring in some sleet, snow, and maybe even times freezing rain, especially with the southeast ridge there. That could definitely bring in some, at least some slightly warmer temperatures in the upper levels, and that could lead to some freezing rain. So we may have to pay attention to the winter battle zone area as well. That goes from eastern Arkansas all the way up to across parts of the New England states as well. It even includes parts of the mid-Atlantic area. Further to the south, there will be some wet periods, but also at the same time here, of course, there will be some drier periods as well. But then again, with some of these systems here, with that moisture available in the Gulf of Mexico here, that could lead to some wet periods across really anywhere from northeastern Louisiana up to across parts of North Carolina and southeastern Virginia. And then last but not least, across parts of the deep south or the southeast, looking on to be on the milder side of things here. With that southeast ridge going to be placed, I think you guys may stay a little bit on the milder side of things. And there may be times where you can get some showers and thunderstorm activity as well, especially with that Gulf of Mexico moisture there. You guys could possibly see some stormy periods as well down there as well. But that's really the forecast right there. Keep in mind that this is not the final forecast. The next forecast will probably come out sometime in mid to late October, and then the last one will come out sometime in mid to late November or in early December. We'll see how things go here, of what will change here over the next couple months here. Should be very interesting here. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, be in the comment section down below. I answer you guys questions, and I see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.